I looked at my mother when I was 21 and so knowledgeable and said, I will never do this. I will never have this much stuff in my life.
Hi, I'm George the Antique Nomad. Come with me as I wander the country in search of valuable vintage, amazing antiques, and cool collectibles. We'll buy, sell, and trade at antique malls, shops, and shows, estate sales, flea markets, thrift stores, anywhere people go to find really interesting things that just aren't made anymore. So come on, let's go.
Hello everybody, it's George the Antique Nomad, and I have the Ohio River behind me. This is Williamsport in the background. That is where Fenton glass was made. And across the river is Marietta, Ohio, which is where I am standing. Marietta has a plaque showing where Lafayette came and toured in the 1820s. Behind me you see the awnings on the Lafayette Hotel where we've been staying for the Fenton convention. And across the street in downtown Marietta, this very cute little town, is this building behind me here. This old building, built in 1901, and this stately building in the bottom has Riverview Antiques, and Riverview Antiques has been there since 1963. Everybody who's been at the convention this week has told me that they've got really fun things, and it's a nice store and has good stuff at good prices, so let's go see. There's our first front window, and right away I see something I really like besides the geodes, which is this little shoe shine bench from probably about 1940, 1950, where they would sit, they'd have their kit underneath, and then the person would put their foot up in front of them and the shoe shining began. It's $65. Across the street is the Lafayette Hotel where I've been staying. The Rosie's Collector Convention for Fenton is in the hall there on the right. They're doing a bunch of live sales right now, so I thought this is my chance to sneak off and see some other things. This appears to be a pretty large store. This is a very sweet Victorian wicker piece. You can tell the Victorian wicker because it's more elaborate and oftentimes asymmetrical in this way, but you have lots of curlicues because of course it's the Victorian era and fancy is in the Victorian era. That little bench is priced at $239, which is a perfectly reasonable price for a true antique piece. Next to it we have this really cute little porch swing, a child size, very little actually. You might have put a toddler or even a baby in there to rock them on a hot day. This hand-painted artware vase is interesting. It looks European. Let's see if it tells us anything. Oh yes, made in Hungary. Hand-painted. There's a lot of really good ceramics that came out of Hungary, and now that that part of the world is more open to the West again, we're finding out that a lot of really neat things were made there. This crow is a little smoking stand made out of yellowware. You would have had your tobacco or cigars in one container, your matches in one. The ashes would go in the bottom, and then that little rough spot that's flat on the front would have been your striker to strike the matches. I've been coming across these Chinese drums lately, but this one's interesting because it's mounted as a decorative piece on this dragon-painted stand. Then next to it you have the charming Miss Delirium Tremens. Somebody was having a lot of fun making this moonshine jug. This one is priced at $275. I wonder if it tells the story about where it came from. It's obviously a folk art piece, and they built it on a little stand. They were having a lot of fun with this. I have a feeling they might have had a cocktail or two before they started this, and then up comes this little guy who's your stopper with his little face. This is just really silly fun. And a one-of-a-kind piece for certain. They seem to have a lot of weather vanes in this place, 19th and 20th century alike. This one is priced at $210 with the horse. There's one over here at $270 with the deer, and it's got the little wind catchers. This is quite a lawn ornament here. She is very stately and a little stern looking, but what a hat she's got on. This is a very, very pretty piece, and this should again date to about the late Victorian era, maybe right around 1900. It is priced at $500, which for her age and size actually seems pretty reasonable. I have to say, so far the prices in this place seem definitely in line with where they should be. Like, these are prices that would sell these things. The little French Bombay chest, Bombay being that shape with the sort of bowed out sides and the serpentine front, is priced at $6.25 with the red marbling. That should date to the early 1900s. I think these are really sweet. They would take these die cuts and then dress them and make them in frames. This was popular to do in the late 20s and into the 30s as sort of a home art piece. And they have a nice little collection here. I like the dress on this one. These are priced at $20 each, which I think is very reasonable for what they are. And what a sweet collection. Somebody either made all of these and had them in a collection, or they collected them over years and now they're here for us to enjoy. There are some really cute ones. This would be fun to have as a gallery wall, don't you think? Maybe in a boudoir. This one with the feathers. That one's very glamorous. That definitely looks like a 30s era hairstyle. Here's another one of that cut out. Very fun. Old military photos, for those of you who are resellers, you should always look for these because somebody recognizes this squadron, somebody knows somebody whose grandfather was in the service at this time. There is always a customer for these. A lot of military collectors like these too. This one is priced at $58. Think young. Yeah, I'd say the guy with the gray hair is thinking young, all right. I'm not sure what she thinks about his advances, but he did give her a Pepsi. This is $5. These were made as blanks to print out for local sporting. So this is for a basketball program, something very similar to this. And then this would have been the insert, advertising Pepsi and telling you how you could tell what the referee was saying. For you rock hounds, this petrified wood has been carved into the shape of a fish. It's a very large piece, priced at $120. Nice little balance scale for $60 with the marbling from about 1900. Again, I think the prices here seem very reasonable for what they've got. And behind it is something really cool that I just noticed. I don't know if anyone's seen this under here, but let's take a look. This is priced at $95. It is supposed to be, it's like a dollhouse, except this is for a railroad car. So when Dolly is traveling by rail, it looks something like this. So they've got the sleeper berth here, the benches and the tables are down here, and a little closet. That is something really cool that I have never seen before. I wonder if there's a maker name on it. Oh, and look, this is Play School. This is something they did in the early days. Now the windows on the train, which were brittle plastic, had broken out, but it's Sleep Dolly Sleep. That's a really cool little place that I've never seen before. This is a very sweet memory piece. This is actually a wreath that was worn by the bride at her wedding in a German-speaking country, it appears, in 1887. In a lovely frame priced at $62. Somebody used decoupage to give this chair the Picasso treatment. It's now an art piece priced at $125. This is a really neat cash register here. I have not seen a national cash register done on a big stand with all the drawers. So basically, this is your entire front desk right here. This and a counter, and you're in business. This looks like it should date to about the 19-teens, maybe 1920. It's priced at $750. That doesn't seem unreasonable considering you're getting the piece of furniture with it. This is another traveling piece, but this is made in China originally. Priced at $125, and it folds up so that you have your mirror, and then you have your valise underneath, your little drawers and everything that you take with you. I really like this. It is for the state of Ohio. It's a Boy Scout commemorative from the 1933 Chicago World's Fair, priced at $75. I am here because the gal who has this space referred me to this store. She came to the Fenton convention and bought some nice things, and she's got some great stuff. The Blenko crackle fish, these blue and white transfer pieces, that's a cheese box there, and then there's the plates that go with from down here, late Victorian period. And look at this really beautiful azure blue check glass perfume bottle from the 1930s at only $95. Also a wonderful Victorian cranberry ewer with the gilding. She really does have some beautiful pieces here. One of the neighboring dealers has a bunch of minerals, and lapidary stuff always sells well. It is ancient after all. We were just talking yesterday about these books. If you're a Fenton glass collector, these were done in the 1980s and 90s by William Heacock and James Measel, who were really scholarly about this, and they have really good information in great depth about the various quarter centuries and then the 1980s, and then there's some good books by James Walk as well. Fenton is very well chronicled, and we had a lot of interest in these books when we mentioned them last night. And here's a whole stack of new old stock across the street in this mall, and the prices are good. And someone that I know and like out in Viewerland was interested in these, so I think I'll pick them up for them. There is definitely a lot of stuff in this store. I'm going to go looking in some other stores here in Marietta next. So down the street from Riverview, we go past a couple of buildings to Green Acres. And it is the place to be. This is Green Acres of Marietta. And this is a fun little specialty shop that does have vintage and antique amongst a bunch of other things. And a gal came over yesterday from here for the appraisal fair and invited us in, and I'm curious to see what they've got. Their flyer looks interesting. Oh, our greeter is here.
She's doing that because she knows there's food back there.
Oh, I see. So she's
Protecting the food.
she's protecting the food. I gotcha. Well, wow, what a neat shop this is. Primarily vintage now that I get in here, which is really cool because, of course, I'm primarily about vintage.
It's like a...
Wow, look at the blue table here. Various Fenton pieces, of course, were where it was made, so we're in the heart of it, but I like the fact that they've mixed a whole lot of different things. This piece is Westmoreland with the open lace. That's a very pretty piece there, and you can see the bottom there. The bird is actually Finnish, and it's signed, and these birds, there are some larger versions of these as well. This one's priced at $128.50. These birds do sell for a good amount of money. I believe they were Iittala was the maker. The peacock pin is really cool. Even this vintage cluster pin, it just has a really interesting look to it. This is 1960s. I'm not sure who made that one either. Ah, there's our label right there. This is a 1970s maker. I like this piece. I think I'll get it. This is Jennifer's shop, and she is, it's just a really cute shop, and she's going to tell us a story that I've heard a few times before about how she got into the business.
Yeah. First of all, I say it's the cutest store in all the land. I'm a third-generation antique dealer. I looked at my mother when I was 21 and so knowledgeable and said, I will never do this. I will never have this much stuff in my life. Yeah, and now she's passed on. I'm sure she's laughing at me every day.
I'm sure she is. So what changed your mind?
You know, I started doing, like I had this case actually in California.
Oh, okay.
I had this case with stuff in it in California in a co-op. And I started really liking doing it. And then I got another space, and then another space, and another space. And then pretty soon I had 5 spaces.
And pretty soon, for the price you're paying, you should just have your own store.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right. Well, when I moved, that's what I decided I was going to do.
Oh, that's so great. What part of California were you in?
Northern California.
Oh, okay. Are you from here originally and
No.
came back? No.
No.
What brought you to Marietta?
Not my ex-husband.
Yes, got it.
Yeah, how far away can I get from him?
Yes, got it.
Yeah, it was actually, I just came to visit Marietta and fell in love with Marietta.
I have to say, it's a charming place. I've never been before.
Where
I've
do you
always wanted to go. Well, I'm from Washington State originally.
Oh, I love Washington.
Oh,
Yeah.
I do too. It's a great place, but you know, there's great places in a lot of places, and I just want to see them all.
Right.
And because of the whole, you know, the Fenton legacy and everything from this area, I always knew about Marietta. And And finally, 30 years later, here I am. And it's just wonderful.
We're so glad you're here.
Well, thank you. So am I. And you have a wonderful shop, and I'm going to show people what you've got.
Thank you.
This celluloid box is really beautiful.
Isn't that fabulous?
And it looks like it actually has the implements in it, which are...
Open it for you?
If you're able to, that'd be great, because you never see the components. This is what these were for. You see the empty boxes with these fittings, and people don't know what they were for, so it'll be fun to show them. And then a really beautiful mesh purse down on the bottom here. And oh, I'm going to have to look at that, because that might just be right up my alley. All right, so she's going to let us show you up close. These celluloid boxes were very popular in the early 1900s, and even really 1890s we start to see them appear. And look at all the pieces. This has everything. It has the mirror. Look at the lovely bust of the woman, almost like a cameo on there. These are going to be made of celluloid, which was the first kind of plastic, invented in the 1850s, I believe. But it's got the brush and the nail buffer and the shoehorn. It's got everything, and nothing is missing. That's very unusual with these. The silk liner is still in pretty good shape, and that's why this one is priced at $260, $250. It is so unusual to find all the pieces. Here's another really beautiful bag. This one is a steel beaded bag, and she says amazing, and yes, I think so too. And it's got most of the fringe. Look at the juxtaposition of the steel and the gold. In the 1880s, there started to be an interest in medieval fashion, and so you start seeing chainmail and mesh at that time, and that evolved into these purses. And the purses definitely outlasted the fad. They were popular for many, many years. And then this one with the geometric deco coloring, I really like that piece. And look at the little 1920s celluloid Cupid doll wedding set. You've got the minister and the two children playing dress up and getting married. You would see a lot of these as cake toppers back in the day. $75 for the three-piece set. That's actually a pretty fair price, because you usually don't see all three pieces. This is a Moroccan amethyst martini shaker from the 1960s by Hazel Atlas. Great color. And then next to that, we've got this glass-eyed owl. This is imperial glass. And you can see the IG mark on the bottom there. This one's marked $62.50, which is a fair price. It's a fair collector price for that piece. They have a lot of little pins and a nice selection of costume jewelry. $46. Oh, shoe clips, actually. Okay, yes, these would have been for the shoes. That's right. The dress clips usually have a little bigger clip on them. Yes, people would adorn everything back then. Here, these are really pretty. These have a very Art Deco aspect with the buckles here. $38 for the buckle. I like this pin. Let's see, it might be more contemporary, but it's a neat look. Let's take a look at the back of it. It's shinier and brighter, so I think it is newer, but it's really fun. And $22.50 seems like a great price. There's a Victorian bar pin in the middle with seed pearls. I've always been very fond of those. It's a look we don't really see a lot of people wear now, because the styles that this went with were very high-collared, and not so many people wear high collars these days, but it is a beautiful look. This pin is sterling with the gold wash. Nice stick coral necklace in there. They've only got $30 on that. That's a good deal. And they have some very nice fine jewelry here as well that you see, and sterling jewelry. $42 on the pink rhinestone bracelet. Pink is a color that always sells very quickly in those. And then these big polished coral pieces. I've seen these in several places, including Poland, oddly enough. If you had big dolls and needed a big doll kitchen, well, these were all made by Sears in the same harvest gold as the ones for the adults. So You could have a child's kitchen for $350. Big L.A. Smith ruby ewer in the corner there. That's a pretty piece. Next to some really lovely, elegant depression glass stems. These are Fostoria. I guess you could call it an etagere, but it actually is a cabinet with display in the mirrors. This would have been at the entry of a very fine home in Victorian times, or possibly against a wall in a prominent place in a dining parlor. This is just a fun and funky looking necklace. This looks like something that might have been made in the 1960s or 70s as a studio jewelry piece. It's got a good look. It's only $12.50, which seems very, very reasonable, so that's definitely a thought. The bleak teak pot with the shamrock. It's funny, I remember we used to see these a lot, and now I just hardly ever run into them anymore. I always like the shamrock because it's such a nice pattern. This has the gold mark. This one's priced at $68.50. This hutch, by the way, is priced at $685, and I think that's a really good deal. I've sold them for $450 and $500 at estate sale prices, and I've seen them sell retail as high as $900, so I think this is pretty well priced. This is a 1950s piece of jewelry that's very well constructed. I don't know who the maker is. It doesn't have any signature or any manufacturing hints to tell us, but it's got this chain that is a definite 1950s, early post-war look, and that one is priced at $28, so there's definitely buyable stuff in here. Very pretty Art Nouveau painted enameled dresser jar. Let's get it where you see the flowers in the right way. $38.50 on that. And then this jade bowl, that's a 1920s Fenton piece for $42.50. And I just had to show this because it's a turtle. We see the owls a lot, but this one is a turtle with the joined pieces that shake and shimmy when you wear it. This would have been 1970s to wear up against a dark sweater. That was a very popular thing to do at the time. And it's a good look. And this is only $14.50. I might have to get that. I think Danny, the niche lady, would probably really enjoy that piece. Hand-dipped candles I see there. And then we get over to our ruby table. Very rich. And boy, do they have the jewelry. And they've got an entire case full of little crystal pieces, most of which appear to be Swarovski. And I'm not going to try to open that because I don't want to knock these down. But what a great collection. They've got the mandolin, and they've got a harp, they've got the cat and the dog, and a bunch of the little critters. And their prices are, again, very fair. Everything seems to be priced kind of on the low side of retail, and some things are actually reseller priced as well, depending on where you sell. We have the old-fashioned auto kit. Keep in glove compartment for emergency to open. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a novelty. Let's see what they consider essential in an emergency. Oh, I see. Yes, that's in case you can't find a public toilet, I guess. Is that a problem in Minneapolis? That's where it says it's from. The tie on the right is from JCPenney's. It's got a fun design from the 50s or 60s, and then the one on the left, the Masonic tie, that's something different that I haven't seen before, and it's $14.50. Nice selection of cameras. This is a very fun store. It's sort of the way my eye goes as a dealer, where if I had a store, I'm sure it would be little sections with a grouping of certain things because I just like a lot of different things, and it's fun to display this way, and it's fun for shoppers. I mean, she really has a lot in a small space. This is a nice oak secretary desk from about 1900, and it is priced at $350. So again, the prices are very reasonable here, I find.
Presidential document signed by the presidents, Ken Lee and John Tyler, when they were governors respectively of Ohio and Virginia.
Oh, that's really interesting. And this one is the Commonwealth of Virginia. And of course, we're right next to West Virginia, but at the time,
it was Virginia.
it was Virginia,
It became West
exactly.
Virginia until 1863.
Signed by John Tyler. Wow, that's fantastic when he was governor. And the thing is that we see a lot of presidential signatures that were done by their secretary.
Yeah, John Tyler had a son who did that for him, but that's actually signed by John Tyler.
Yeah, no, you can see that these are real, and because this is before they were big enough to have somebody do that for them.
John Tyler had even had his son doing his stuff even
back then.
Even back then as the governor, because I've got John Tyler Jr. essentially is what he was, and he served that purpose for his father.
How interesting. Yeah, these are really cool. I'm really glad you pointed these out because I hadn't noticed them. And then this one, Return Jonathan Meigs Jr.
Yeah, he's instrumental in the history locally and in the state of Ohio, and I think he was also Postmaster General of the United States at one point. I'd have to read the...
Elected governor of Ohio, declared ineligible due to residency issue.
And then later, I think he was...
Became senator, and then he became the governor of Ohio 3 years later. And then 1814, he was the 5th U.S. postmaster under Madison. That is fascinating. And it's interesting, he's the postmaster, and this is back when you didn't actually have stamps for postage.
That's correct.
And so it's all written out. That is so cool.
You were still in town.
Yeah, today's our last day. I did
From out west somewhere?
I am originally from Washington State.
Okay.
And I am here with the Rosie's Fenton Collectors Group.
Yeah,
and
that's where I think I'd seen that you were appearing there and providing your expertise. And
it's been a lot of fun, and people brought some really interesting things, which was neat too.
I'm good, glad.
Well, it's sure fun looking back on these wonderful shops in Marietta, Ohio. I can't wait to go again next year. I'm really looking forward to it. I am planning on attending another Fenton convention. I would like to see the big national convention. I didn't get to do that this time because they canceled. And so we are hoping next time that will be open, but there's sure a lot of other things that are interesting for antiquers, and we've had a great time here. I'm George the Antique Nomad. Please check me out on the social media and links you see in the description. Leave a comment, let us know you like this video, and click the bell to be notified of future videos if you're subscribed. If not, please subscribe. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.
Thanks for joining me again in the fun and fascinating antique community here where online meets the real world. Please click the subscribe button below, click the bell to be notified when new videos upload, leave a comment below, and hit thumbs up to like this video. Links to our online social media and our items for sale are in the description. This is George at the Antique Nomad. Bye for now.